You don't need an introduction to If I Could Be a Constellation. It's one of Kessoku band's most beloved tracks for a reason. In just 4 minutes and 18 seconds, Ai Higuchi, Hiromasa Naito, and Mitsuo Mitsui crafted a funk-driven gem that just hits.
And as my favorite song, I've been waiting forever to finally break it down on why it's such a banger.
We are greeted by a bass slide down. Definitely not hinting at it stealing the show. Oh my god! A slap bass intro in this economy? Peak! This is why it's my favorite! Absolute praise! Other than the fact that it's slap, the chords used are so funky and groovy, especially with those chromatic chords.
I still got it, but please still watch our cover. It's not that great.
But man, fellow bassist, once you learn and practice this, you're gonna have a fun time playing this over and over again. Okay, let's move on to the drums. Surely this 123 beats per minute of a song won't have an addictive beat. How is this song so big? Nijika, which Dorito were you inhaling to create this groove? I need that! The intro is split into 2 parts. The first features pauses, chromatic descents, and fun syncopation from all instruments. Shout out to that triplet fill from the drums. In the second half, which is the main intro, we get 16th note close hi-hats, 4 on the 4 kicks, and 16th note syncopated snares.
Confused? You should be. Nijika somehow pulls off this complex drum pattern while staying perfectly in time and grooving. Trust me, you better master your syncopation and independence before even attempting this.
Beyond the rhythm section, which alone is already amazing, we've got the 2 guitars cranking up the funk. Bocchi wows it up, repeating a few scale notes with legato runs and vibratos. And did I mention it's catchy AF? Kita on guitar plays the chords in a funkalicious strumming manner, and she sometimes uses sus chords. The main intro's chord progression loops twice before ending on a final chord. The bass grooves with syncopated root notes and hammer-ons, and Bocchi adds bends and trills. As the verse begins, we're immediately drawn in by Kita's vocal tone, which feels different from typical Kessoku band songs. Instead of powerful and in your face, her voice is cute, sweet, and alluring. Authentically, kita! Honestly, the production team nailed it by casting Kikumi Hasegawa for this role. Split into 2 halves, the first features just vocals and the rhythm section. Nijika keeps a fantastic beat from the main intro. If I ever learn drums, this will be one I'll be so proud to master. There are rim shots, occasional syncopated fills, and even a random pause. It's so groovy. Ryo continues proving why she's secretly Davey 504 by adding licks and fills over the peak syncopated groove from earlier. Meanwhile, the rhythm guitar complements the Dorito and Weed Eater with matching chords. In the second half, Bocchi finally steps in with complementary palm-muted arpeggio licks. According to All Worship Guitar, her approach to effects is minimalistic. Everything is pure and clear, mistakes and all. Respect! Kita and Bocchi also divide the guitar roles smartly. Kita handles full chords and rhythm, while Bocchi takes on a more melodic, horn-like lead role.
Since I already mentioned the guitar dynamics between these two, let's also get over with the major theme of the song, which involves their dynamics as individuals.
The song uses the Constellation metaphor, title drop, to show how different people, distant, insecure, or seemingly unreachable on their own, can shine when they come together. These figures are mainly Kita and Bocchi, and Ai Higuchi's intentionally vague writing lets listeners interpret the lyrics from both perspectives. The song explores mutual admiration, loneliness, and fear of separation, highlighting how they idolize each other while quietly feeling isolated. Celestial imagery reflects talent, popularity, and growth, but also the anxiety of drifting apart or outgrowing the group.
The lyrics can hint at romantic longing, but overall they speak their shared desire to belong, stay connected, and to shine together, even if that light is uneven or fleeting.
At its core, the song celebrates the bond not just between Bocchi and Kita, but the entire Kessoku band. No matter who shines the brightest, they shine together, forming a constellation. And they do shine as the verse closes with a big fill, involving ghost note-filled fills on the toms, slapping octaves on the bass, broken chords on the rhythm, and juicy staccato jabs from the lead. Now at the pre-chorus, Ryo's backings finally enter, heavily harmonizing Kita's vocals, and low-key, they give a very 7th chord vibe. But the real star here is Bocchi's insanely cleaned alternate pick G-sharp pentatonic line. Don't even think about underestimating it. Guitarists will come for you. Supporting her, Kita lays down wide, sustained chords, occasionally breaking them up for texture. The drums continue laying down such a groovy syncopated beat, sprinkled with funky ghost notes and hi-hat barks. Its fills are similar to what is found in the verse. Meanwhile, the bass holds a varied but more straightforward syncopated groove, featuring one heavily arpeggio fill worth noting. Ryo also spices things up with different licks and more frequent slides. Then everyone goes all out in a massive fill leading into the chorus. Kita bells the last line with incredible power and control, while the drums crash on every chord change, using floor tone, snare, 4 on the floor kick patterns, and burst of 60 notes. The bass rides along, soaring high before sliding back down. Oh God! Such an angelic tone from Ikumi, especially with those high notes. Her vocals are even layered with the added bonus of Ryo's harmonization. The melody of the notes carry repetition and varies in rhythm. Nijika goes full disco mode, driving the beat with offbeat hi-hats, tons of syncopation, and constant hi-hat openings and closings. Ryo keeps the pre-chorus groove going, and the chromatic notes, especially in fills, add serious tension. Overall, it's a slick, sophisticated bass line with touches of classic walking bass found mostly in jazz. Bocchi dials up the reverb with shimmering arpeggiated chords, occasionally switching to octave shapes. It's as angelic as Kita's voice. Meanwhile, Kita keeps it grounded with straightforward full chords, strung tightly in sync with the bass. Also, a small detail, Ryo's backings only enter every first 2 lines of the chorus, while the rest is solely Kita. Adding emphasis on certain lyrics of the chorus. Before the second part, I love the usage of triplets in the drums fill with the mix of upbeat snares. And this sus chord fill by Bocchi. She also switches up on the second half by doing funky strumming on the octave chords. And the final fill is just syncopated insanity by the drums using the toms and the crash cymbals, with the bass filling it up along. We enter the interlude, a variation of the intro, but this time with different fills from both bass and lead guitar. Some even argue that from here on, Bocchi goes full funk mode. She caps the section with vibrato notes and bends on different tones, while Ryo switches up the bass fill to keep things fresh. And now to the second verse. If you think the song wasn't funky enough, then wait till you hear this part. The drums switch to a completely different beat, spacing out the snare hits and changing up the kick patterns. Hi-hat runs in 60 notes, barking with varied fills, and Ryo, she's carrying the groove with insane syncopation and tight connection between bass and drums. There's even a blistering fast lick using hammer-ons at a pentatonic shape for crying out loud. The Rhythm Sisters absolutely shine here. While our guitars do similar stuff from verse 1, with Bocchi using palm mutes. Everyone fills together to end the second verse, and we move over to the second pre-chorus. Over here, Kita casually drops a bombshell of a line, which directly translated means, the moon is beautiful, isn't it? Which seems innocent if you know the Japanese, but on the other hand, oh my god, just confessing we love! The instrumentals mostly repeat the first pre-chorus, but I love how Bocchi expands on the G-sharp alternate picking with new licks and fills. Ryo keeps things fresh with varied bass licks and fills. Then comes the final band fill before the second chorus. But man, another triplet fill by Nijika. Nijika, please teach me how to play the drums! Second chorus, and the band is busy but perfectly tight. Highlight here, a juicy pentatonic bass fill. Then the closing fill hits, with Nijika adding 16 note snare rolls for a master crescendo, while Kita holds the longest vocal note yet, leading into the guitar solo. But there's more than one solo. I'll start with the studio solo, but you can skip to this timestamp if you only want the anime solo broken down. This one mainly uses fast pentatonics all over the neck of the guitar with intense vibratos, funky ghost notes, and legato techniques, and it closes off with glorious high bends. This solo uses the bottleneck, or for Western audiences, slide technique. It might look simple, but it's a brilliant way to hit notes between frets and reach higher pitches, just like Bocchi did in episode 12. But it also requires practice to get it just right without sounding creaky and dissonant with the rest of the band. The final part ramps up the challenge with tremolo picking. So much so that arranger Ritsu Mitsuri admitted he had to repeat it over and over just to get it right. It really isn't that simple.
Now, the fact that there's two guitar solos, debates over which one is better can occur. While I believe both solos are equally compelling, I want to ask you guys which one do you prefer? So comment down below the subscribe button and let's have a civilized discussion. Though I would say I would lean more towards the bottleneck solo.
Outside of the guitar solo, the band keeps the same vibe as of course. Dorito scatters a lot of licks, and Kita is a star here with her impromptu playing. It's quite impressive for a beginner, and the animation shows her pouring emotion into every strum. It works to snap Bocchi back and to grab Kikiri's sake bottle. Plus, Ryo signals Nijika to repeat the solo just for Bocchi. That's big bandmanship right there! And now to the bridge, with Kita quickening up her pace of the lines in a more bubbly feel. This is supported by a whole new bass groove that low-key wanna makes you dance and jump to it. And for me, it reminds me of the Super Mario Star Power Up soundtrack. The lead guitar hits sus power chords, while Kita mirrors them but locks in tighter with the bass groove. She chose in full chord fills with ghost drums for extra texture. Meanwhile, Nijika switches to the right cymbal, and I love how it slices through the mix. So clear, so cool. And here's a cool arrangement detail. As Kita sings, certain phrases echo back with the wide delay, tucked deep into the mix. Layer that with Ryo's heavy harmonies and a soaring bass fill, and the whole section just feels massive. And as earlier, a big fill occurs, but it's the most bombastic yet, mainly because of one peep. I think you know who. Using crashes, triplets, flams, and syncopations galore. This bombastic drummer gal then lays down kick drums, sprinkling hi-hats and barks. The rest of the band stays silent, except Kita, who sings the first half of the final chorus so soft and gentle. She's at her cutest form here. She also plays palm-muted power chords. Ryo jumps in next, sliding up high for a complimentary solo, even kicking on some distortion to slice through the mix. A few seconds later, a massive fill explodes. Nijika builds it up with floor tom and snare, then crashes through rapid, syncopated chord changes, finishing with a clean 16th note snare roll. And everyone's back in full shine. Bocchi rips aggressive sus power chords. Ryo holds the groove with varied licks. Kita repeats her earlier chorus magic, and Nijika keeps delivering her complex, masterful drum beat. There's this amazing fill she does during the chromatic chord descent that implements full crashes. And as the final lines are sung out, she gives one last dose of spice by playing a new fill to lead to the outro, which is a repetition of the main intro.
But man, what a song to break down! If I haven't made it clear yet, this is my all-time favorite Kessoku band song. Even this video is not enough to fully explain why I love it so much.
One reason? It stands out from the rest of the band's catalog. Ritsuo-san even admitted he wasn't sure if it fits with their other tracks, given its use of genres not typically associated with Kessoku band or the Shimokitazawa rock image. Many of us, including me, hear a mix of funk and city pop, a far cry from the usual Shimokitazawa vibe.
There's nothing wrong with the other tracks. They hit hard, piercing straight to your heart with sharp precision. But sometimes we need a song that is light and airy, catchy, groovy, and subtly romantic. I bet even if you're not into love songs, this one will make you feel like you're in love. Maybe it's just my personal bias for feel-good, bright songs. Or because I'm a bassist and I just can't get over what Ryo cooked. I even want the king of bass himself, David Barber 4, to cover this.
Either way, the mix of complex drums, groovy bass lines, catchy guitars, and Ikumi Hasegawa's sweet vocals come together to make an absolute masterpiece. This masterpiece closes with fresh lines and notes from every instrument. Finally, a kick and 3-pounding floor toms and snares from the drums deliver a massive, euphoric release.
And that's the genius of Akubia Constellation. If you enjoyed this breakdown, then check out this video breaking down Kara Kara. Or if you love Kita so much and you want to understand her greater depth, then this video might be the star of interest. Shout out to the channel members for the endless support, and to you the viewer for watching this video till the end.
Okay, off I go! Wow!